What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another weekly episode of Fiery Fridays. Glad to be back. It's still been a great week of NBA playoffs. This playoffs is shaping out to be one of the best we've seen in a long time. The Lakers-Warriors series has kicked off. I think last time we were on, the Warriors were still playing the Kings. And who else was still playing in Game 6? Was it
Lakers Memphis was still
Lakers?
on.
Memphis was still on. I think that was it.
Yeah, Heat had just beaten the Bucks. No,
Yep.
there was one more on Hawks Philly.
Hawks,
No,
Celtics.
Hawks Celtics. Yeah.
Yeah. So that game's kicked off. It's been game one. And for those listening, just for your information, the Warriors-Lakers game 2 is tomorrow morning. So we haven't seen that one yet. So speaking about Lakers-Warriors, that will kick us off with question 1. Lakers-Warriors series predictions. I'm keen to hear your thoughts on this series. Obviously, it's the LeBron versus Curry. Might be the last time we see that big rivalry, probably the biggest rivalry in our generation of basketball. They're playing in that series against each other. The Lakers took game 1 by 5 points, 118 to 113, if I'm correct. 117 to 112, sorry. So yeah, they took it by 5 points. What is your thoughts on this game 1, and what is your series predictions for that series?
I mean, game one was really good. Like both teams, I don't know if they were playing at their best, but it was competitive as I know it's a bit of a flip of a coin, this one. I think last week I said I had Golden State in 7.
Yep.
I still think that's the case. Like I wouldn't see them like at minimum it'd be 6 games, but I'm leaning more towards 7. I just think they can go back and forth like last game, bit of a last minute who was the best. Then, Paul misses a controversial shot, which I think wasn't actually that bad, like open 3, take it. So I guess I'll still stick with them in 7, but it's going to be close. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it goes the other way. Not something I can come out and be that confident in, really.
Yeah. I'm going to go the Warriors in 6. I think Lakers might get one more at home, maybe game 3. But I think Warriors are the much better team. The Lakers definitely did surprise me last game, though, and that's why I'm kind of leaning towards your prediction of 7 games. But if I'm going to pick a team, it'll be Warriors for sure. I think they're the much better team. They've just got to take smarter shots. Jordan Poole's last shot, a bit controversial, but then again, it is a shot that he probably practices every day. It was open, it wasn't contested. But is it the shot you take with a minute left? Shot clock
I think there was, what was there, like 12 seconds left?
No, it was more than that. It was much more than that.
Really?
Yeah, but the shot clock wasn't winding down. I think they could have got a better look, in my opinion. And they've just got to find a way to limit Davis, which I think they will do. They will figure it out. It's what Steve Kerr's there for and why he's such a big-time coach. Davis had like 23 rebounds, 30 points. It can't happen again. And then they've also just got to limit the points in the paint. I think Lakers doubled them. I think Lakers had 57 points in the paint to Warriors 24 or 23. So more than doubled them. And they've just got to keep that out, whether that's bringing in Kuminga. I know they brought in JaMychal Green towards the end, but they've just got to find a way to get Davis out of that little mid-range free throw area because he seemed to get a lot of points, especially off the rip in that game from there. But I'm gonna take Warriors. I think their depth is insane compared to the Lakers, and I think Jordan Poole stepped up. I think last series he was pretty quiet. I think he kind of got a bit of confidence from that game. I think he played all right, not to what he usually does, but he was hitting his shots. And yeah, I'm gonna go Warriors in 6. I think Warriors get the next one, and then maybe Lakers game 3, and then I'm gonna say Warriors 3 in a row.
I think they're a team that's better at adapting to. Like I think they can come in next game with a much better game plan. Where I think the Lakers are kind of like, oh, we'll just do the same thing. I think they can change a lot of things. With Steve Kerr as a coach, I think he's top coach in the league in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's really good at noticing things, changing this, changing that. I reckon they'll be a lot better next game.
Yeah, I think Warriors might come out absolutely gunning them next game. I think it might be 11 plus flogging tomorrow. Hopefully someone doesn't screen record that one if the Lakers win, but I think they're going to come out and it's going to be a different story. I think Warriors play a bit scrappy. They played very scrappy in the first two games against Kings when they were down 2-0. So I don't think they're worried. Obviously, they're the most experienced team in the playoffs, especially because they got the same bunch of group or the same core even of blokes that have been doing it for a while. So I think they're going to come out and win next game. And I think once they tighten things up and limit Davis, it's going to be hard. LeBron cannot shoot 1 for 9 again. Otherwise, that might come back to bite him. We'll get on to question 2. The NBA lottery is in 2 weeks, I think, from today. It is an interesting ladder of lottery, the table of lottery, and who has the most chance to get the first pick, and even the top 5 is pretty interesting. Looking at the lottery table, what are your thoughts on it, and who needs the first pick in your opinion?
I think it's pretty easy here for a team that doesn't get spoken about much, doesn't get many free agents going there. The Spurs I would be taking him number 1. However you say his name.
Wembanyama.
Yeah, Wembanyama.
Yeah.
I'd be taking him first for sure, obviously. And the Spurs need that for sure. They need a big player there, bring in a crowd. I suppose we haven't really seen the best of them. When was the last time they made the playoffs? Maybe a few years ago with DeRozan.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like as an 8th seed and would have got knocked out in the first round. So yeah, they need him bad. And yeah, that's number 1 for sure. I don't think anyone else needs him more or the first pick more.
Yeah. I'm going to go. I really want Charlotte to get the first pick. I don't think they necessarily need it if they're going to bring Bridges back. But I would like to see LaMelo and Wembanyama on the same team. I think there's a spot at the 5 for them. I know they had Mark Williams and he played pretty well towards the end of the season, who they drafted last year. But I don't think he's going to be a starter if they want to build a championship roster from the ground up. Could be a 4-man, but Wembanyama and LaMelo sounds like ticket sales. And I think it'll be a good place for Wembanyama to, it'll open them up a bit. Houston, I don't want him in Houston. I think they play pretty crappy basketball, in my opinion. It's very isolated, and I don't think he's going to get the best looks on that team. I know they did just sign Udoka, which is huge, which makes me kind of want him to go there a little bit. Obviously, you got Popovich in Spurs. I don't know how much longer he has of his coaching tenure. But maybe Pop's last year can be Wembanyama's rookie year. That would be pretty cool to see. But Detroit, I feel like they've already got Darren at the big. So having maybe, even if they get Brandon Miller at the 3, the 3rd pick, wouldn't be that bad in my opinion. So I don't think Detroit are in that much need. Cade sat out this year. He's coming back. Ivy's getting into his sophomore year. They've got Darren, who played exceptional. Bojan, they've said they want him on the roster and what they're building in Detroit. So I don't think they necessarily need Wembanyama like the Spurs or Charlotte or Houston even. So I'm going to say I want Charlotte to get it. I think that'll be a cool little duo with Melo and Wembanyama. Another team that could sneak into it could be Portland. I don't know if they're going to keep Nurkic this offseason. Obviously, it's not working down there. And if it could be Portland's only hope to keep Lillard around, to be honest, if he's not gone already, is to get Wembanyama, sign a few free agents. You still have Jeremy Grant. Anthony Simons gets 1 year further into his career and into his prime, or towards his prime. And it could be one of the only things that keeps Lillard around. So Portland or Charlotte, in my opinion, and obviously my Wizards, but they've only got a 6% chance, so we won't get too much into that. On to the 3rd question. Which team do you think needs the biggest moves this offseason? Now, this is interesting. There's a lot of disappointing teams this season. I've got 3 here, so I'll start.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the team that I was just mentioning before, Portland Trailblazers. Do you rebuild? I think so. I think it's time to let Lillard go. It is affecting his career a little bit now, the winning. If he stays, fine by me. I still think they have the pieces. They just picked up Matisse in the second half of the season. Great defender. Simons, great player. Jeremy Grant is obviously a great player. He can be a brink of the all-star level player if he focuses. Nurkic, good player. They've got projected 5th pick in the draft. They've got guys like Nazir Little who played well towards the end. Good team, in my opinion, in Portland. And obviously, if they make some free agent moves, they can be really good. And we've seen what Portland can do in the playoffs. It's exciting basketball. It's obviously something we're missing this year is Damian Lillard. Another team is the Chicago Bulls. They don't have a first round pick in this year's draft. They traded it in the package for Vucevic. Lonzo is sitting out next season as well. Reports have come out. So it's pretty much the exact same team. So do you make moves? There's rumors that Giannis might be going. Obviously, that's a stretch. There's rumors Anthony Davis wants to go home. Another big stretch. Davis might go ahead and win it all with LeBron this year. So there's just a lot of rumors and talk. Pat Beverly doesn't care if he returns to Chicago. He came out in an interview, said he goes, "I'll go wherever they want me and pay me." So I'm not sure. Do they get rid of Kobe White? There's just a lot of things that the Chicago Bulls have to do. They're sitting in that awkward space between 12th and 8th, where even if they do make the playoffs, they'll probably make no, push.
Impact. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So they'll probably be a first round exit. And then they don't have picks. They don't really have much trade value. Do they get rid of Pat Williams? Does anyone really want Pat Williams? I mean, he's a good defender and he's young, but I'm just not sure. So Chicago Bulls really have a huge offseason, in my opinion. LaVine and DeRozan, their primes are very not Zach LaVine, but DeRozan especially, his primes kind of, I don't know how much longer he's going to be performing at a 28 point per game level. And then my last one is my team, the Wizards. I'm just unsure if they keep Beal, kind of the same position as Lillard. Do you push him on to a team like the Lakers or the Bucks that kind of just need one more piece to be a super team? He had a pretty disappointing season last year. What do they do with Porzingis and Kuzma? Can they win a championship with those two? There's rumors that they're going to kind of try and extend those two and think they're going to build around those guys. Are they worth building around? Denny Avdia's future's up in the air. He was meant to be the next coming of Luka Doncic. Haven't really seen that so far. But they do have the 6th pick, so they're in a different position than the Bulls. So we'll see. I'm keen to see what happens, but Bulls and Portland are the main two, I think, are in a bit of iffy position. So what do you reckon?
I was going to say Portland from the start, and more specifically like Damian Lillard. Not so much a team, but a player. But I was just thinking of another one that I think the Hawks have to do something. Very talented team, quite young still. They've got a few young pieces, but with that team, I just don't think they can win a championship.
Yeah.
I think there has to be something that's done. They've got some good pieces on there, but it's just what they do with them. They've got Bogdan, Clint Capella, Collins. There's a few others in there, even Hunter maybe, that I reckon they get some good value for. Whether that is, maybe not. I was thinking maybe they could get something for Beal or something, but it doesn't really work with Trey and Murray. But yeah, I don't know. They've got to do something because I feel like they're on that brink of, getting deep into the playoffs, but I don't think they could run it back with that same team and do anything.
Yeah, I agree. I think Hawks are very talented. They came close to the Celtics. I don't actually think anyone, except for maybe Phoenix, will get 2 games on the Celtics. I know they are tied 1-1, but I don't see them losing another game. They just absolutely pumped Philadelphia by 30, and Tatum had an off game, was in foul trouble. And I just think they've got them figured out. They're gonna win 3 in a row, and it will be 4-1, in my opinion. If Philly end up winning a game, it'll probably be next, game 3 in Philadelphia. And then I think Celtics in 6. But as of now, I've got Celtics in 5. I don't think they lose another one. And I think Hawks might be the only team other than Phoenix that could possibly get 2 games on Boston. Yeah. So they do have a talented roster. The talent is there. It's just whether, putting it together. They shouldn't have been the 7th seed in the first place. They should have been higher than that. They should have been playing the Knicks. Yeah. Maybe 4th or 5th seed.
Yeah. And then they'd be going against the Heat or something, and they'd probably beaten the Heat.
Exactly. They could have met Celtics later on when they were a bit more comfortable and settled in.
Yeah.
Last question. Was the Bucks, before we get into our questions of the week, was the Bucks season a failure? Obviously, Giannis had that interview recently where he came out and a reporter asked him if he thought the season was a failure, and Giannis came out and said it wasn't a failure. MJ didn't win all the years in his career. Was his career a failure? I think it was just the heat of the moment. But I'm keen to see what you thought of the Bucks this year. Obviously, they just got 4-1 by Jimmy Butler and the 8-seeded Heat. So let's hear it. What are your thoughts on the Bucks?
Well, I get what he's saying, but at the end of the day, you've gone there to win a championship as probably, I don't know if they were favorites to win it, but they were definitely top 3. Like, you're going there to win, and you've got pumped. You didn't even win a game in the playoffs. I get what he's saying, and he's trying to be, it's probably not a failure, but it is extremely disappointing for them. Massive, like, kick in the face, really. Probably another team where, in my opinion, I don't think they can win with that team. Another championship from back in the day. I think I touched on this last week too. Like, in that last minute, you got to be able to have someone you can give the ball to and, hit a three. Giannis is in that play. He can still score and drive. It's a lot easier when you know that. And Middleton's not good enough where you can give him the ball and he creates his own shot and can get a tough basket. I think they struggle. Most of the time, they're up so much going into the fourth quarter. It doesn't matter. But when when Heat start making that run, you need to be able to just go like, here, someone create a shot for me, where Giannis, can get scrappy points, get in the rim, and he's a very good player, obviously. But I think they're missing that kind of play where you can just hand them the ball and go, all right, do something for us. So they've got to make.
I think Middleton used to be that guy that for them, the closer, but obviously he missed quite some time this year. So I don't know if he was still, getting comfortable or if it was still a niggling injury. But yeah, I think Middleton used to be that guy when they went on that championship run who they could give the ball and, make a tough shot, close the game out and seal it for them. But yeah, obviously this year was different.
I mean, yeah, he obviously was good enough that year to do it, I guess, but still, like, at the end of the day, I don't think he's a good enough player to be doing that. So I think the question is if it's a fail. Yeah, it's a fail, but it's probably not the way that they'd be looking at it. But horrible by them. Yeah, awful.
I think it's a failure. I think Giannis knows that. I think he was just it was just the heat of the moment, obviously 4-1 when you are arguably the MVP in some people's eyes, third in voting, officially. And they've obviously won a championship with the exact team. They were coming in as the first seed. I think they had the best record in the NBA. They did, I think. So you obviously won the most games in the regular season. You were going in as the favorite to win the chip. A lot of people had them taking it out. And to lose to the 8th seed, who we spoke about it last week, shouldn't have even really made it. It was an 8-point game with the Bulls in the play-in. They lost to the Hawks in the play-in, then played the 10th seeded Bulls and nearly lost that. So it could have changed the whole outcome. Maybe the Bucks beat the Bulls, whatever. But a team that finished 8th and potentially could have lost in the play-in took you out in a gentleman's sweep 4-1. It's pretty embarrassing. So yes, the season is a failure. I think they will run it back with the same roster, maybe make a few changes. I don't think they use Crowder much. I think they brought him in so they could bring him in the playoffs and he can defend certain people, hit big shots, sit in the corner, kind of be their PJ Tucker, who they lost. But they didn't really use him. Joe Ingles didn't get much minutes, who they also brought in. So it's pretty interesting. Mike Budenholzer, just Heat made so many runs and there was just not many timeouts, in my opinion, called. And Jimmy had 45 and no one's really putting a stop to it. I think he averaged like 36 over the series, which is absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. So yes, the season's a failure. Middleton missed 49 games out of 82, which is pretty much, he missed all 49 at the start, and then was on and off throughout the second half of the season. So yeah, I'm going to say it was a season failure, obviously, because people had them to win. But yeah, I don't think they're going to make too many changes this offseason. We'll get into questions of the week. I'll do mine first this week. My question of the week is, should the NBA do awards after the season? And before you answer this, I know it is a regular season award, but in my opinion, it should change. So for example, Giannis was third in MVP votes. Let's just say he won it. He goes into the NBA postseason and is the first seed, loses 4-1 to the Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat. When it matters, really, this is when it matters. Regular season, a lot of people sit out. You can lose 10 games in a row. You can still come back and be the 4th seed. Every game doesn't really matter. But when it gets to the postseason, if you step on it and win games, that's when it matters. And I think those games should be counted towards the awards. So let's just say Giannis loses 4-1 to the Miami Heat. And then Jokic goes on now. He's up 2-0 to Phoenix. And he goes on to 4-zip CP3, Booker, Ayton, and Durant. And then he goes on to beat Lakers or Warriors. And he's in the finals with his first seeded team in the West. In my opinion, he is more deserving than if Giannis won it. Or if Embiid loses to Celtics in 4-1, I still think Jokic, who is right behind Embiid in an MVP voting, if he goes on to beat and sweep the Suns. I think Jokic deserves it more because he's doing it when it matters. So I think they should be after, but I'm keen to hear your answer. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think that's a good point because it's just such a weird time to announce it. What was it last night for in America, or like yesterday for us, or today for us? Yeah, today for us. It's such a weird time to do it. Like if you're gonna do it, if it's a regular season award and you want to keep it that way, do it well before the playoffs and just like set it as that. Don't drop it mid playoff because I get what you're saying. And like the thing is, say Embiid's got it now. Say that they lose to the Celtics 4-1. Celtics go on, sweep the Knicks, sweep Denver. Let's say Denver gets all the way through and then gets swept. Like then it's so much easier to go, oh, well, Embiid got, one game on them. Denver got nothing. Or the other way around, Denver took Boston to 7 games or whatever it is. Or, say Suns come back and beat Denver and then Embiid loses in the same thing. Then you can weigh it up instead of just like, oh, Philly went up 1-0 with not even with him. Jokic and Murray put on a clinic against an absolute superstar roster, and he doesn't get it when he's playing. Like it just doesn't make any sense. So I think you're right. You got to either put it right at the end of the playoffs or say once both of them are knocked out.
Yeah.
So say the top 3 because they're set in stone, aren't they? At one stage, like they go, all right, these are our 3. So Giannis gets knocked out, done, and then there was Embiid and Jokic. Let them like pretty much go head to head until both of them get knocked out, whoever goes further. And the thing is, you could wait till the end of the playoffs to do it because, like I said, Boston might end up beating, if Denver make it through, they might end up beating them. Say maybe Philly get 4-2. Denver could only get 1 game on Boston or something like that. However it works, and you go, oh yeah, Embiid went a little bit better than Jokic. You can line it up like that. But it's such a weird time. Second part of the playoffs, game 1 after game 1. Oh yeah, now we'll announce it. And I hate how they drop it all in separately. They never used to do that, did they? All the awards came out simultaneously. Yeah, strange how they do it. I barely care about it anymore. Finals MVP is way more prestigious.
Yeah. I agree. The only negative that people could argue about that I'd sort of listen to is after the season, let's just say, another scenario. Let's just say Phoenix come back and win 4-2, and let's just say Celtics win 4-1. So Embiid and Jokic and Giannis are all out of the playoffs, but they're the top 3 in MVP voting. Curry goes on to beat the Lakers in 5, and then he goes on and beats Boston somehow again and wins another ring. Finals MVP. Does that not seem like Curry's season to you, in your opinion, if he goes on and wins as a 6-seeded Warriors? It'd be hard to give the MVP to someone else if I feel like your team goes on to win the chip. I feel like that's the only thing I could sort of think about as an argument. Like Embiid has played so good and so much better than Curry throughout the regular season over 82 games. And then for Curry to play well during the last, 16, 20 games, like it does matter the most. So I can kind of listen to that argument as well, but
Drop it before.
I think you should lock in the 3 after the regular season. So your top 3, and then announce it as to what they do in the postseason. So if Giannis is 3rd and then just gets beaten by Miami, you're down to Jokic and Embiid.
Yeah. And it goes further.
Yeah. That's how I think they should do it.
I think you got to do it like that, or at the end of the regular season, actually do it at the end of the regular season, not some weird game. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree. Onto your question of the week. Let's hear it.
Coming back to the Bucks, if you're Giannis on the Bucks, what do you want? Like, do you want to get out of there, or are you happy to stick it out, are you happy to stick it back with the same teams, or are you trying to get a Damian Lillard or anyone else of that caliber, Bradley Beal, something like that? Because Drew Middleton, are they going to cut it? In my opinion, no. If you're Giannis, are you moving on, or are you trying to bring something else in?
Yeah, it's tough. I wouldn't move teams if I'm Giannis. I'd definitely stick it out with the Bucks. He's going to get that loyalty supermax. It'll be the biggest in NBA history, probably.
Yeah, probably.
If not Luka's coming up. Yeah, Giannis, I'd stick it out with the Bucks. Do they bring back Middleton and Drew? I thought they were both really, really disappointing in the playoffs. This might be a terrible, terrible opinion, and some might disagree. But from what I've seen, and whenever I watch Drew Holiday, he seems to get torched. I don't know what it is. Jimmy Butler's a guard. You're meant to be one of the best defensive guards in the league, Drew Holiday. I don't know why Jimmy Butler's averaging 36. You're meant to go out there and clamp him. Obviously, Drew Holiday, I'm just not sure. He made a few crucial mistakes towards the end of the games in the Miami one. A few fumbles of the ball, dribbling into the key when it's not needed, and then stopping and get stuck. Middleton wasn't the closer they needed. I think Middleton they actually both played very well in game 2 when the Bucks won without Giannis. But yeah, I'm just not sure. Do they run it back? I think so. Obviously, it worked for them throughout the season as the first seed. Do they go and try and get someone? Possibly, but the only person I could probably think about is probably Dame. And if you bring in Dame, do you move Drew to the 2, Middleton to the 3, Giannis to the 4, and run Brook at the 5 with Dame at the 1? Possibly, but then again, you've got that sort of scenario where there's only one ball. I think Mavericks kind of ran into that. The Brooklyn Nets super team kind of ran into that. I think actually Phoenix Suns kind of right now running into that, where Durant should be the primary scorer. Booker's kind of taking the ball out of his hands a little bit, and they're finding trouble to figure it out. So yeah, do they bring in Dame potentially? But then I think you got to get rid of either Middleton or Drew. I think Drew can kind of slot into the 2 spot as a defending wing.
Yeah.
I think he'd be pretty good at doing that. So Middleton, I'm not sure if he can turn into like a Tobias Harris. He may be, but I just don't kind of see that from him. So do they go out and trade Middleton for a defensive wing? There's a lot of teams that would trade for Chris Middleton. So we'll see. If I'm Giannis, I'd stick it out whether they move people or not. I still think the Bucks are all right. Obviously, it's one series. It's just hard to tell. I'm not gonna. If I'm the Bucks GM, I probably would stick it out with the same team. You need the little pieces to kind of make the team build. Jay Crowder and Joe Ingles, I thought were great additions. Whether they need a backup big or not, Bobby Portis is good. I think he's a natural 4. I think he's like he's great from the mid range, can shoot the 3. I think he can spread the floor. So they're bringing a big defensive big off the bench. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'd stick it out. I think maybe bring in some role players. I don't think another superstar is needed on the Bucks.
I think Middleton's the one to go, but if they are going to do it, it's got to be Middleton.
I agree. Dallas is in talks to get Middleton, actually. Came out today.
For who?
I'm not sure. So unless his contract's up and they're going to sign him.
Yeah. Kyrie's got, how long's Kyrie got on his contract?
I think it's 2 or 3.
They got to move him. Never going to work. That was the easiest thing to pin. As soon as he went there, like Luke is just a point guard, and you've got to have like long wings around him who can shoot and play defense, and you would have been set. And you brought in a guy who dribbles for 14 seconds of the shot clock. Yeah, trouble in Dallas for sure.
Definitely. That could have been one of our answers for who needs to make some moves this offseason.
Yes, that was a big miss. Big miss.
Anyway, that'll wrap up this week's episode. Appreciate you guys listening. We are uploading clips to our YouTube. The full thing goes on YouTube, and we're uploading our stuff to YouTube Shorts. We've got TikTok up and running, and we're also posting them on our Instagram at AusHoopers TV. We appreciate you guys listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Cheers. See ya.